So first of all, I want to say that this video is not clickbait. Haley and I were actually served lawsuit papers. I'll get into all the details later in this video. It's been a video we've been meaning to make for a while now. We were trying to wait for everything to be settled before we talked about it. Haley has been very nervous about this whole process, but I think it'll be an interesting video. So this whole thing sort of started to unravel about a year ago or so, maybe last summer. Haley and I were out. I think we hit a couple of thrift stores, went to eat some lunch at McAllister's. We were sitting there and I got a phone call from some random number. And one of my toxic traits in life is that I always answer the phone, no matter, as long as I'm able to. I guess sometimes if it says like scam likely, I won't answer the phone. But if it doesn't say scam likely, I'll answer because I never know. It might be something important, you know. So we're sitting there eating lunch. I got a phone call. I answered it. And at first I thought it was a scam. There was this lady saying that she works with some company that like helps people going through foreclosure and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I think you got the wrong number because we're not going through foreclosure. And she was like, oh, are you the owner of blah, blah, blah address? And it was the address of the flip house. And I was like, yeah, we paid cash for that house like a year and a half ago at this point. You've owned it for 2.5 years, I think, maybe. I was like, yeah, we pay cash for that house. What's going on? She's like, oh, well, according to the court documents that I have here, you guys are being foreclosed on. And that was news to me. Like I hadn't heard anything from anybody. You didn't have a mortgage to foreclose on. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, can you send me what you're looking at? Like, obviously you have some court documents or whatever. So she emailed me over and it was like a court document from our county that said, we're being foreclosed on. So I got off the phone, started talking to Haley, and I didn't even know what to think. I was like, what could this possibly be? Because I knew we didn't have a mortgage, and I was like, maybe I didn't like pay the property taxes or something. That was the only thing we could think of that I, could have forgotten that would lead to this. But I'm like, do they even foreclose on homes if you don't pay your property taxes? Like, I haven't even owned it that long. They usually don't actually do anything from the county taking over a house until you've missed property taxes for years, So once we got home from lunch that day, I looked at the documents that the person on the phone sent me, and then I saw that the company that was actually like suing us like for the foreclosure was like Founders Federal Credit Union or something. And I've never done any business with them at all. So I knew that I didn't think it had anything to do with me. I was like, I really think this is just a huge mistake. But let's, look into this a little bit more to see what we can uncover. And at this point, I do think Haley was very, very nervous. She is a natural rule follower. And when she sees that, when she saw the document that actually had our names, her name included, because she's a 50% owner in a flip house, that she's being sued, it was it was devastating. You're like, oh my gosh, I've never been in trouble my whole life, and now I'm being sued.
That's true. And I am the type of person that like, if like, I don't know, something kind of like makes me panic, like my heart rate races, my like cheeks get all red, and I was just like, what is going on? But it was a weird feeling for sure, because I was like, I don't think we did anything wrong.
No.
But like, why is this happening right now?
Yeah, you think it's a mistake until you see the document. That's like, oh, wow, this is real. This has our names on it,
But didn't we, like, I feel like there was a point where you were saying that he thought maybe it was a property taxes. So we, like, went down to Lexington County, like the
courthouse thing.
The courthouse.
Turns out I hadn't paid the property taxes, but that was an issue. It was a little late. It was like $400 wherever we paid it, but they said that wasn't the cause of the foreclosure.
Yeah, and I don't remember what happened after that, because I feel like you were still in like connection with her, like when we left McAllister's that day, we had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I think we did go straight to the courthouse. We paid our property taxes, got that situated, and then I called our attorney who did the closing on the flip house when we bought it.
Oh yeah.
I think we went there like right after that.
We did.
Yeah, because I think I called and they didn't answer, so we just rode by the office.
Yeah.
And they
were like, we need to know what's going on right now.
It was like immediate thing, and they were like, oh, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, we bought a house from with you guys as your attorney, and now we're being sued by this credit union, and I don't know what's going on. And they were like, that's weird, because when if you don't know, when you buy a house, part of the due diligence process, part of the reason you hire an attorney is so they can like research the history of the house and make sure that the person selling it to you actually owns it, and make sure they, pay off the old mortgage and all this stuff. That's why you pay them hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for closing, because they make sure that the transaction is seamless and you won't have to deal with something like this in the future. And you also, when you buy a house, you should buy what's called title insurance. This is just an insurance policy. I think it was like maybe $500 or $600, like a one-time fee. But this is an insurance policy that covers you in the event that something comes up in the future. Like some family member says, oh, this was my uncle's house and my cousin sold it. He had no right to sell it and blah, 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 blah. Like, it's unusual that something like that happens. But in this scenario, I think we'll talk about this later, I am very glad that we bought title insurance. So the attorney sat down with us in the office and he was looking over all the documents and he was like, I really don't know what's going on. I mean, we did our due diligence. It shows we paid off the old mortgage. I don't see anything that we missed, on first glance. So he's like, I'll call the attorney that was representing Founders Credit Union, talk to them, and we'll kind of go from here and see like what's going on, what's the root cause of this. And in the meantime, he was like, you're probably going to get served with a lawsuit like at your house pretty soon. So don't freak out, but that'll probably happen. And it did.
Was freaking out.
Yeah, I thought they were going to send the police to our house, but they sent us the big manila envelope, lawsuit papers. I need to block out some of the information on there.
I think at this point, though, Josh was getting actually like really excited because he was like, I know, one, that we have not done anything wrong. And I'm like, I've never been served lawsuit papers before. So like, what is this process or whatever? I think, what was it, like late one night or something?
Yeah, it was like
6 o'clock or something.
6 or 7 o'clock at night or whatever. This lady came and served us. And at that point, I was like, this is going to make such a good YouTube video. Because it's, like you just said, I know we didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And so like this is just like a stressful situation that should, in common sense, should work out in our favor eventually. But it was still like scary, especially when you got like a whole stack of papers that say, state of South Carolina and this Founders Federal Credit Union suing you for, I think
our full names at the top.
Full names, like, your name included.
Yeah, my name included. Yeah.
Luckily, Haley doesn't have any outstanding warrants anymore. But
don't start rumors.
I think the amount, I'll look at the paper here. I think the amount of the lawsuit was just over $17,000. State of South Carolina, County of Lexington, Founders Federal Credit Union is the plaintiff versus Josh Varnell and Haley Varnell and one other person. We'll get to that in a minute. One other person listed as the defendants, and we are being sued. Yeah, I thought it was like $17,000, but it was actually more than that. It was $20,578.14, which is what we were being sued for, which is an interesting amount of money. Like it doesn't seem like enough to be an old mortgage that wasn't paid off. I thought maybe it was like a contractor's lien that somebody forgot about. So I don't know. It was very stressful. I knew, again, we didn't do anything wrong, but there's just a lot to deal with. And what was interesting too is the lawyer that we used to do the closing paperwork with, because he was like part of the process, he couldn't represent us in this lawsuit. So he was like, you might have to get another lawyer to represent you. I'll help facilitate this if I can. But I guess there were like some legal guidelines that he couldn't be both involved in the case and representing us, which I guess makes sense. But either way, it was a very stressful time because we were dealing with stuff that neither of us, have ever dealt with in our lives. And this was a decent amount of money that we were playing around with here. Very stressful time. But you know what else is stressful? Trying to find high quality meat in the grocery store, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, Good Chop. So Good Chop is a service that delivers high quality and American meat, poultry, and seafood directly to your door. So I'm sure right now most of you guys are probably just going to your local grocery store and buying meat whenever you need it, which is fine. I get it that it's convenient, but it also comes with its own set of issues, right? We often have to deal with a limited selection of available items. They may not have exactly what we're looking for. Sometimes items that they do have are a little maybe questionable in quality, to be nice, depending on what store you're at. And oftentimes the items that we have at our grocery stores here in the United States are items that were farmed or raised overseas and then shipped here. And that's, I don't know, there's a lot of mileage, and luckily Good Chop can take care of all of that. They literally have hundreds of items available anytime you guys want to order a box. Every single item is farmed and raised right here in the United States of America, and the quality is absolutely top-notch, like significantly better than anything you'll find in a grocery store, arguably better than anything you'll even find at your local butcher. Good Chop offers the convenience, the variety, and the quality you're looking for, and they back everything up by offering you a 100% money-back guarantee. So support the YouTube channel and to support small family-owned farms and independent ranchers right here in the United States, you can go to goodchop.com/YouTube and use code HARRY50. That'll give you $50 off your first box and free shipping. You can also click the link in the description of the video down below. Thanks again to Good Chop for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to it. So like I mentioned earlier, there was a third name on the lawsuit, and that name is the name of the guy that we bought the house from, which makes sense, right? Like obviously at that point when I saw his name, I was like, this is definitely something between between him and Founders Federal Credit Union. I don't know what's going on. Haley and I were just kind of tangled up in the mess of it because we're the people that currently own the house outright. So our attorney, or the guy that, the attorney that transacted the process, was doing some research, and we basically found that there was a home equity line of credit that this previous owner took out on his house that was not paid off when the mortgage was closed on, when his last mortgage was paid off and the ownership of the house was transferred to us. And I was like, okay, well, now we have to decide, is this the seller's fault? Did he deliberately scam and try to withhold this information? Is it the attorney's fault? Did they miss it in their due diligence? Because that's a difference, right? If it's the seller's fault, then you'd have to go after him for the money. If it's the attorney's fault, we could sue the attorney for missing a $20,000 mistake on this thing and make them pay for it. But it turns out that the home equity line of credit was taken out after the due diligence was done on the loans. Does that make sense? Like, I think our closing date was like the middle of January, say January 15th or so. But the due diligence process is a process. It's not something they just do all at once. So usually 15 to 30 days before closing is when they look for all this stuff. Look for old mortgages, look for HELOCs, look for contractors' liens, look for any issue that will prevent this house from being sold to the next person. And they did all that check, like all those checks, like the middle of December, like December 18th or something, probably right before they left for Christmas. And everything came back clear. They just had one loan at the time, one mortgage to be paid off, and no liens or anything like that. So that's the one that they paid off at closing. And then later on, we discover this HELOC. And again, that's because the HELOC was applied for and paid sometime between the period between like December 18th and January 15th, which confirms that the previous owner of this house, the guy we bought the house from, basically committed fraud. Because when you apply for a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, one of the questions they ask you is this home for sale, or is this home, under contract for sale? And at the time, anytime between that gap, it was, because we'd obviously been under contract because the lawyers were doing due diligence before the home equity line of credit was even issued. So, I'm not in the business of accusing people of crimes, but it's literally impossible for him to have gotten this HELOC without him lying on the application about the status of the home being listed for sale or under contract. So I'm getting worked up. I need to take a water break. I'll be right back. So knowing that it wasn't the attorney's fault, I guess we could have countersued the guy who sold us the house, because he's the one who, his choice of lying on the application for the HELOC is the whole reason this thing happened, right? But to be honest, I don't think suing him would have been fruitful. He didn't seem like somebody who really has money. Obviously, he's not even paying his home equity line of credit at this point. So if he had $20,000, he would have paid his bills, right? So we basically had to file a claim with our title insurance company. Like I talked about earlier, we bought the title insurance policy, and that insurance is specifically for things like this that come up when there's a HELOC that isn't paid off, or all this stuff. But they don't just automatically approve stuff, right? Like, you have to file a claim with them, and then they look it over and see if it's something that should in theory be covered by title insurance. And if title insurance didn't pay for this, we would be on the hook for it. I mean, but we couldn't make this lawsuit go away until Founders Federal Credit Union got their money from the other guy who sold his house, or us. So it was, again, another stressful situation in this. And it took probably, 3 months or so of just sitting around and waiting on this before we finally heard something back from the attorneys. And they basically just said that the title insurance is going to cover this. And that's after we got that verbal confirmation. It took maybe another month or so, maybe another 2 months to actually get the paperwork filed that says we're officially released from this lawsuit. We don't have to pay anything. The title insurance basically paid the $20,000 to Founders Federal Credit Union, and then the title insurance company sued a separate lawsuit without our names on it. They sued the guy who sold us the house. So I don't know if he paid them. I hope they get their money back, but if I were them, I would not hold my breath. So at this point, we are mostly clear of the lawsuit. I think there's still a pending foreclosure on the county website under our names. You can go to your county website and look for anybody's name and see what kind of lawsuits they have against them if you're a nosy person. And I'm pretty sure Haley and I both still have a pending foreclosure on our account. So I'd like to get that taken away. It doesn't affect our credit or anything, which is something I always worry about. But it's still annoying, that it happened. And I will say that Haley does not like having her name associated with a pending foreclosure or anything like that. It's just
no.
It's just the natural rule follower in her. She's like, I just really want this all to go away. I don't like this.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't like. I feel like I'm in trouble or something.
yeah. And like it
I
won't
don't
go
like
away
it.
until like all evidence this ever happens goes away.
Yeah.
But now it's documented on YouTube, so it's never going to go away. So yes, we were definitely sued with official lawsuit papers with our names on and all that stuff. But fortunately for us, we didn't end up, losing any money or anything like that. We didn't have to hire an attorney. We just used the original attorney that was part of the transaction. He just facilitated the claim through the title insurance. So other than a lot of stress and headaches for a year or so, we came out on the other end scot-free, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this is the last lawsuit we'll ever have to deal with. I do think, as far as lawsuits go, I've never been involved in one, but this one overall, I'd give it 8. I'm rating 8 out of 10. I think it was 8 out of 10. It's just crazy that someone else's criminal behavior, is that too much? It technically is criminal behavior. Someone else's choices can affect you in such a fairly dramatic way. Life is crazy. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Haley and I are out here packing last night's whatnot orders. She's
Funny, you're like Haley is.
Haley
You're
is.
just filming.
I've just been filming this video the whole time. I got to get to work and help her before she starts to get upset. Love you guys so much. Comment down below. Have you ever been sued? Let me know. Love you so much. Bye.